Good morning, everyone. Michelle Hart here. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm sorry I've been gone for a little while. I have I'm just getting over being sick and completely lost my voice and was hacking for like a week. It was not pleasant. But better now. Things are good now. And yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a little while. And I'm going to actually start with this deck because this deck, my husband was the one that said I should do deck reviews. He's very, very helpful in that department. He doesn't really do tarot himself. He has, but he has opinions about everything. And I love him to death. I can't even describe him. He's just a very unique person. But he actually saw this deck and pointed it out to me. He's like, I kind of like that. And I wasn't drawn to it, but he doesn't generally have, he's not generally drawn to any particular decks. So I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and get this and see how it is. And I ended up liking it way more than I thought. So this is kind of, he was the start of this, so I'm going to start with a deck that he kind of picked out. So this is, I actually right off the bat like the box, nice and compact. The more compact it is, the more you can fit on your shelves because, everybody needs like 5 bajillion tarot decks, right? Love the little white book that comes with it. It's a little bit more hefty than a little white book, but it tells when each piece of artwork was completed, which is kind of cool, like what year it was completed at the bottom there. And they go into detail. It makes it personal. This deck, you can tell they put effort and love and care into it, and it's more of a personal deck, and I love when people do that. So these are just some extra cards there. Now, I was nice, and I put this in order just for you guys, because I don't normally do, I don't have the patience to do that kind of thing, but this is actually nice. I ended up cutting, because they made it so that it fit the deck perfectly inside. I ended up cutting it a little bit so that it fit a little bit looser, because I couldn't get the darn deck out. But that's minor, very minor issue. So this artwork, once again, this is not my style art, personally. It's the, what was it, collage type art, I guess is what you call it. I don't know. I don't even know what you call that. But I don't know. It reads remarkably well. And most of it is it is definitely a modern take on each card. The Emperor, I mean, look at that. There is more intensity to this deck than I thought there would be. I'm sorry if you hear random things in the background. My cat is playing with whatever's in the closet here. So, in case you don't know, I work out of my closet because it's the quietest place in the house. Normally, unless you have a cat that likes to play. Because, I'm in here, so she has to be in here too. I love this strength. I think that's such a way to make it modern. I like the idea behind that. That's just kind of, I like the interpretation of that. This is one of the cards. I'm not a huge fan of the way they did the Hanged Man. A lot of the other cards, this is the Death card. What a unique take on that. And yet very, very powerful, almost eerie kind of feeling to it. Now this is cool. This, depending on what type of base you go off of, either the Rider-Waite decks or the Thoth deck. This seems to be more based off of the Thoth deck because it has art instead of temperance. But I love how they have, it's the artist drew the temperance card. And I think that is just a really cool take on it. The Devil, I'll be honest, I love this Devil card. He's got the little horns in the background in the drawing there, but it's got the chain on the bottom. It's just cool. I like the way they did that. And there's the tower, the star. I like how they interpreted a lot of these things. This one is, so the moon is really dark. Kind of creepy for a moon card. And it's a lot darker than most moon cards, but there is I can't even tell you, but there's a lot of energy behind that particular card. And that's just absolutely sweet. I love that card. And that's the Aeon. I think I'm saying that right. You got the snake on the shirt. It's got the reflection is an old school dress. So I like the way they did the interpretations. The universe, this is not my favorite depiction of the universe, but it's fine. Now these are a combination pip and picture, which is interesting. I like the combination because you can clearly and easily tell what each one is, but you obviously have that the images to kind of go off of intuitively as well. That's why I like the mailman pushing through the snow is like, I really like the way they do it, but they make it very clear, and they have the words on the bottom, what each card is, just like the Thoth deck does. And while I would say these are not particularly or artistically beautiful cards per se, there is so much energy behind them and creativity in the interpretation of them. I love this. Four of Cups is luxury, and you got these two guys chilling out in under with cookies and milk. I'm like, that's just the great interpretation of it. I love it. And they were just creative with the way they did this. So this was a several year process for them, putting all the artwork together and everything. But I love the modern interpretation of the knights, because I struggle with the knights. I'm not entirely sure why. The knights and I have a hard time interpreting the knights. I don't connect with them in general, but I like the way they're interpreted in here. The therapist is great. The Prince of, this is another, because it follows along the Thoth, it's not the king, it's the prince. And then you have the princess instead of, what is it, the page, I guess, which is the Rider-Waite version. But I think they really did a good job with kind of modernizing all of it. So, I mean, that's just, some of these cards are just, they hit you right in the chest. So, oh, this is interesting science. Now this is, I can't even describe this particular card. Some of them are just, you have to see them. You can't describe them. Hence going through, the whole deck, right? So you can actually see these individual cards is really interesting. Now, this, I liked the way they did this. This is like, oh my gosh, like a meth needle. And this is the Ten of Swords, which is, ruin. And I like just the way that they depicted it. Once again, bringing everything kind of into the modern world. And once again, the Knight of Swords, I like the way they depicted all the knights. It's so much easier for me to kind of understand what they're going after. So, the Hacker, I love that Prince of Swords. Really a nice, I'd have to say, it's a minor complaint once again. The discs or pentacles, whatever you want to call them. They're not my favorite suit in this particular deck. I like some of the other ones. They feel more powerful to me than some of these do. But I also like that one is cool, like power outage, you know, failure. That's, once again, a great way of interpreting things. So even though it's not my, it's, normally I like pentacles in a lot of the decks, and this one is like, it's my least favorite suit, but it's still, it gets the point across, and it's very clear and understandable in each one. I love the Knight of Discs is Gourmet Chef. Like, I just like the modern interpretation of these. And then the last one is the Princess of Discs, which is the kindergarten teacher. So this is, I ended up liking it more than I thought I would, because even though I'm not a huge fan of this particular art style, this has been an amazing, more accurate readings than I expected, and just good interpretations of each card. Now, I will say this is not really much wider. I don't think it's any wider than a regular tarot size deck. Let me see if I can grab. Like, that's a little bit wider. A little bit wider than a regular tarot deck. But my biggest complaint is it is much longer than a regular tarot deck. I have big hands, okay? Shuffling this is very difficult for me. I really have to stretch in order to shuffle this properly, and it's a little bit awkward. So if you've got tiny hands, shuffling is going to be awkward. But cardstock, I mean, they shuffle easily. They're thin enough to shuffle, to rifle shuffle. And I mean, if your hands are big enough for that. I can't. I have tried and I can't. But overall, good deck. I like the artwork on the back. It's just is very geometric. And my sister, when she first saw this deck and she saw the back of the card, she was like, oh my gosh, I know why you like this deck. This is what's in your head. She sees like images of kind of like, I don't know if other people's thoughts is quite right, but kind of like what's in other people's heads sometimes. And so she sees it. She's like, that's what your brain is like. And I was like, okay, I actually didn't pick this deck out, but that's rather funny that both my husband and my sister liked this deck for different reasons and had different things to say about it. So it ended up being a deck that I liked better than I thought. So, and I hope that was helpful to you guys. It really was, it really is a nice deck. And I said, I like the little white book that comes with it. Overall, I think it is a good deck with good interpretations of each individual card. So hopefully that's helpful to you guys. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope to see you next time.